Hi, welcome to tdcat.com. The Canon 5D Mark IV has finally been released, and there is a certain amount of disappointment, I think, around the video options available on the camera. No one's quite sure at the moment, I don't think, whether it's purely because Canon want people to kind of focus their video stuff around the XC10 and C100, C300 and C500, if you could possibly afford that. But there are certain limitations around it, and today I just want to have a bit of a moan and a bit of a rant about it. If you don't like those kind of videos where I'm kind of moaning about something where I don't actually own the product and I've never tried it, so who the hell am I to say what it's like? Absolutely right, yeah, that's true, but I'm still going to do it anyway. So if you don't like it, I don't know, go away now. Don't watch the video, right? So anyway, yeah, the 5D4 is out and it has 4K video. Sounds good. It all sounds good so far. So let's just actually focus on the positive points to start with. Firstly, it has 4K DCI. So it shoots in 4096 by 2160. That's a 17:9 aspect ratio. So it gives you a little bit more width on the video and is a cinema standard. That's a good thing. And we also, with that 4K DCI, have an MJPEG 500 megabits per second codec, which has 422 color. So again, another good thing for people who want to be able to shoot sort of on the move. The other great thing is the dual pixel and the autofocus system on the camera, because the camera can be used, has excellent autofocus from what I've read, and can be used with a touchscreen as well on the back for autofocus. Now, I had a bit of a moan the other day about the touchscreen, and I said, I don't like touchscreens and stuff, but I can see that if you're doing video work, the touchscreen is probably a really good thing. You can just basically sort of go along and just go, that's what I want to focus on, and it's a solid body, so you're not going to get the creaks of the plastic and stuff, so you're just going to tap it and it's going to just go bang and focus on exactly what you need it to. Much less confusion about hitting your mark on the focus, and that's so important with 4K. Getting your focus right becomes so much more important, particularly on DSLR cameras, because they have the shallower depth of field as well. So they're great points about the camera. Seems like a good codec, and you can do full HD in 60 frames per second, and you can do HD in 120 frames per second as well. Now let's just turn to the bad points of the video from what I understand, and apologies if any of this is wrong and I get my facts wrong here, so apologies for that in advance. The first point is that the wisdom of the engineers at Canon decided to go for a crop factor on the sensor. So what does that mean? Well, if you have 4K video, so if you have 4096 by 2160, the sensor on a 5D is clearly capable of producing much higher resolution than that. So you have kind of one of two ways, generally maybe three ways, of getting to the output you need, this 4096 by 2160. You can either capture the whole sensor and then just scale it down, and that's just sort of, that really produces great images, really produces some sharp images. You can scale it down and pixel bin, which is great. If you look up pixel binning, because it's quite complicated actually how it works. I don't really know the technical details behind it, but just do a wiki on pixel binning and you'll find out all about that. It's a way of basically merging two adjacent sort of pixels on a sensor, and it produces far lower noise, but that's less of a concern, I think, with a 5D, because there's low noise anyway, because you can really get some... this 5D has great noise performance compared to kind of smaller sensor cameras or cameras that use, for example, the camera I'm using at the moment, if I sort of if I zoom on the camera, the aperture kind of closes to about kind of f5, so I really have to start using some gain then, and obviously noise becomes a problem. You don't really have those issues because you can use quality lenses on a DSLR, so noise is less of a problem. So pixel binning, the benefit you can have with pixel binning, but the problem with pixel binning is it creates artifacts and very strange kind of stuff that people associate with the 5D, and I think Canon wanted to move away from that, the kind of artifacts in the image. They wanted to move away from it, so they went for the crop factor. And what the crop factor does, it takes the sensor and says, I'm only going to use this little portion of it. So I'm just looking at my monitor here. I'm only going to use this little portion of it in the sensor. So I'm going to just not ignore the rest of the sensor and use this tiny bit in the middle. So it's like having a crop sensor camera. And as a result, if you have a person that's standing up and you put them in frame like this on your sensor and the crop is there, it effectively zooms in. So all your lenses suddenly have different zoom ratios. So if you had a crop factor of 2, a 100mm lens would have a 200mm zoom ratio, which changes so many things as far as lenses are concerned. If you want a wide shot and you know which lens to go to, you suddenly don't have that ability. A 24mm lens, which would be nice and wide at the 24 to 105, is all of a sudden nearly a 50mm lens, and that's not really a wide lens. But it's not a crop factor of 2, it's a crop factor of 1.75, so it's quite a lot, really. You will get really good images out of that because you're basically just taking what you need from the sensor and pushing that into the camera with you're not changing it in any way. And that's a good thing. So the image quality will be high, but this crop factor is a real problem for people. And there's already a lot of discussion online about whether that was a good decision of Canon. The second thing with the video is there's no UHD mode. You can do full HD or you can do 4K, and 4K is 4K DCI. You can't do UHD, and that's kind of weird. I mean, it doesn't really matter because you can just dump 4K DCI video onto a UHD sequence and just cut the sides off. But I still think that's a bit of a weird choice. Why wouldn't you do that? I mean, if you're already taking a crop on the sensor anyway, why not just take a different crop? Strange. But there are certain downsides. What's the other one? What's the other point? What's the other point? I've forgotten now. UHD. Oh yeah. And the third point, the third main downside, I think, is that the output, the external recorder output on this camera, I think is 8-bit. There is no option for a 10-bit output on this camera. And again, please do correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not 100% on that. But that seems to be the way it is. So you're limited to 4K DCI, you have a crop factor, and you can't even do 10-bit out on any other resolutions to record externally. Right, okay. So this is not, I don't know, I just get the impression this is not being aimed at video users. This has video functionality, but it is a stills camera, and you can believe it will be a bloody good stills camera. 5Ds have always been good. I said it in my previous 2 videos, they've always been good, and the results from them are absolutely fantastic, so you can believe it will be a good stills camera. But there will be some disappointment around those 3 points on the video, and we'll have to see how things pan out, really, because the camera's not actually available for people to have in their hands yet. It's available to pre-order. So let's see what happens. Watch this space, and I'll continue to do these sort of, chit chats about what I feel about the subject. I love the 5Ds. I've used them for years. I know a reasonable amount about video, so this is really just my opinion on the subject. And if you disagree with me, that's good. Come back and tell me. Don't just sort of dislike the video and bugger off. come back, comment, tell me you disagree, and try not to swear, because YouTube comments are always full of swearing and people being rude. Just tell me you disagree and tell me I'm talking a load of rubbish. That's the kind of constructive conversation that I would like to get on this channel, not people just whinging and moaning about stuff. That's my job, right? I'll catch you soon. Bye.